Hashem doesn't need robots or puppets or angels to worship him. The moment we see the light, we see the truth right in front of us, and by experiencing Hashem directly, seeing, hearing, feeling the Lord right there and then in front of us, that doesn't give us free choice. The whole idea of creating this world is for human beings to figure out and find out the existence of Hashem. And by doing so, choosing to follow his ways, by freedom of choice and not by being forced.
Does God need us? And what is the purpose of creation? This online debate was started by a Chabadnik rabbi called Rabbi Manis Friedman, who is popular here on YouTube. He wrote a book and also produced many online videos where he states that God needs us and our mitzvot, our commandments. This is contrary to the mainstream Orthodox Jewish position that states that God does not need anything and that he is thus perfect in every way. Rabbi Yosef Mizrahi and Rabbi Yaron Reuven, also popular here on YouTube, in return has produced many videos denouncing Rabbi Manis Friedman for his controversial statements. I took this question to my rabbi, Yitzchak Steinberg, the Rosh Kollel of Ohel in Raanana, to answer this much debated question. Shalom, Rabbi. Thanks for taking the time out of your busy schedule to answer this important philosophical question to my viewers. Rabbi, does God need us and our mitzvot?
Based on a beautiful essay written by Rav Aryeh Kaplan, If You Were Hashem, he tries to illustrate the creation of the world and what the goal is and what our goal within the creation is. So he speaks of the fact that imagine if you would land on an island of natives somewhere in Africa, some tribe in Africa, which have never seen or never experienced modern culture, modern day and age. No idea what electricity is, they have no idea of anything of that type. Ancient tribe. And your goal is to introduce them to technology, to modern ideas. Could also be conceptual ideas, not only physical, sophisticated facilities. So your goal is to expose them to such a culture that they've never experienced, but you have one restriction, and that is that you cannot reveal yourself. You have to make them aware of this possibility, of this option, of hearing a whole new concept in there that they've never heard of in their life, in their whole life, entire life, of modern culture, modern thinking, modern day and age, all these new technological machines and all that, but without revealing yourself straightforward. And we'll soon see why that's an important restriction, and that's fundamental to understand what Hashem is doing in our world. If you would do it revealing yourself and just coming to this tribe and saying to them, I have a whole modern culture that's out there that you've never seen, you've never experienced, you've never told about it. Let me introduce you to it. Let's say you do it directly like that. There's what we call a culture shock. When a person is completely unaware of a whole system of life and ways of thinking and technology that they've never ever seen in their lifetime, they go into shock because it's overwhelming. It's too new and it's too much at a time. After the shock, there's an aftershock consequence, result, in rebelling because they've been educated, taught, lived by their culture, which is definitely primitive, sometimes barbarian, but at least primitive, to experience something so new, so different than what anything they've ever seen in their lifetime, new thoughts, new ideas, new machinery, and new everything. So after the shock, there's the aftershock experience, which is to rebel against it because they'll realize that they've been running their life all wrong, simplistic, non-sophisticated, and there's so much out there greater than what they've been living, they've been experiencing. So they'll say, we don't want that. We're used to our style of life, our way of thinking. We don't want them to control us. We don't want to change. Our way is great for us. So they rebel against it. So by exposing them directly to something so new and so much greater, lengths and lengths of thousands of years of progress that they haven't made in their lifestyle, to expose them immediately to such a leap is much too much. They can't grasp such a leap. Therefore, the process has to be extremely slow, and in a way that the fact that you don't reveal yourself is because you're coming from the modern world. The moment they see who's behind it, they'll throw it aside, throw it away. It needs to come from them. They need to find out on their own this whole new system, this whole new style of life, this whole new way of thinking, all these new machinery and technology and everything needs to come somehow from them, slowly being introduced to all these new concepts and ideas. Otherwise it just won't work. They'll fall apart, or the idea will fall apart. It won't connect. They won't be able to connect to it. So taking this parable, similar to that, is the whole idea behind creation of the world, Hashem creating the world, and leading it to its ultimate goal. How does this work? First and foremost, the prophet Shayel, Isaiah the prophet, in chapter 43, verse 21, expresses in one line the goal of the Jewish people. Am zu yatzarti li, tilati yisaperu. I have created for myself this nation in order for them to tell my story, tell my glory, tell people about my presence. Let people know of my presence. So that's our goal. In one line, that's the entire goal of the Jewish people. How does that fit that parable that we spoke about, this island? Because Hashem is the one and only, most inclusive, perfect thing that can ever be in this world. If Hashem would shine bright onto his creatures the moment he created the world, then that's the end of the process. Because Hashem doesn't need robots or puppets or angels to worship him. The moment we see the light, we see the truth right in front of us, and by experiencing Hashem directly, seeing, hearing, feeling the Lord right there and then in front of us, that doesn't give us free choice. The whole idea of creating this world is for human beings to figure out and find out the existence of Hashem. And by doing so, choosing to follow his ways, by freedom of choice and not by being forced. So if Hashem would reveal himself directly to the world which he created, that's the end of the process. There's no way out. It's like seeing the ultimate truth in front of your eyes. You have no freedom of choice. So Hashem allowed this world to begin its process by total freedom of choice, by not revealing himself to the world. And then if a person has free choice, Hashem on purpose created us with Yetzer Tov and Yetzer Ra, with two sections in our soul. One is the heavenly, spiritual, good, inclined to do good side of our soul, and there's the animal-like side of our soul, which goes for temptations, for sinful acts, chooses to go in that direction. So we were created from the beginning with these two sides of in our soul, good and bad, allowing us to choose. We now have the freedom of choice to choose this way or that. So we have free will and freedom of choice. Free will is that we could decide either way to go, good or bad, and we can actualize it in real life by choosing decided to go. So we have the decision, and we can actualize it by means of acting this way or that. In the very beginning of the creation, after Adam and Eve were created, but before they had sinned with the terrible sin of the tree of knowledge, there was even a stronger will in Adam and Eve to do good. The bad existed, the freedom of choice was still there, but the scale was tilted more towards doing good. There was a stronger element within their personalities to choose to do good, because they were created directly by Hashem, not man-made, not by parents giving birth. So they were as perfect as can be, yet with the serpent, which was identified with the evil spirit, with the bad choice of in the world, Yetzer Hara, was still out there. It was still available to them. But inside, their inkling was to do good. Had that continued from person to person, there would have been a much faster process to reach the ultimate good, because we would have chosen much more frequently and easily and naturally to do good and figure out in a quicker process, figure out that Hashem exists in the world and to follow His ways, which is the ultimate goal. Tilati yisaperu, follow my ways. Unfortunately, Adam and Eve ate from the tree of knowledge, which they were forbidden to eat from, which in turn changed their personality, and from then on, all of our personalities, all of human being personalities, had changed to have an equal chance of choosing good versus bad. There's an equal chance. Now the Yetzer Hara was implicated into their personality instead of being outdoors, outside of their personality, and only able to reach, able to go in that direction, but it wasn't an inkling in them. Now it became an inkling in them to choose to do bad, same as they could also choose to do good. But further than that, human beings are created having a body and a soul. The body is the external feature of who we are, and the soul is an internal feature of who we are. Neshama, nefesh, all kinds of parts, the deeper and deeper parts of our soul, of our inner spiritual being. And since the body is the external part, the first thing we meet when we inspect ourselves is our body. We can't see the soul. It's not tangible. It's not physical. It's something deep inside. After Adam and Eve eating from the tree of knowledge, not only did the Yetzer Hara, the negative inkling, join the positive inkling in their bodies, it was now inside them and not external to them. Since we are created, as we said, of a body and a soul, but the soul is more hidden, we have a greater chance of acting naturally by nature in a negative way than a positive, because our body leads us, and the part of our soul that is the Yetzer Hara, that resembles the Yetzer Hara, which is the bad, negative inkling to do things, is more external. It's more ready to use. It's right there for us. It's immediate. Whereas our deeper inside us, we have that positive Yetzer HaTov, the inkling to do good. And therefore, the process now became forever, very, very, very long, to make people realize that although automatically and naturally one tends to do bad deeds and negative things, that's their nature externally, but deep inside them, we have that positive side in us, and we should choose to do good. To teach that to the entire world, to humanity in whole, generation after generation, from nation to nation, from person to person, as Jews, is our role in this world. Why can't Hashem just make us choose good? Because we said, if He makes us choose good, if He makes us aware of the good side of us and our experience would be of so much pleasure, much greater than doing bad, that wouldn't be a fair chance, equal chance between good and bad. True that if a person controls himself and isn't tempted by the negative side in his personality and chooses to do good, the end result will definitely be that his life will be much more content. He'll be a much happier person. He'll be joyous in a way that is much greater than anything physical. He feels accomplished. He feels he's doing internally the right thing. So it's uneven in the end, because choosing to do good in the end all process leads us to a tremendous, delightful feeling which we cannot gain by anything. And nothing can compare on the other side of doing bad. Even a delicious piece of pork for Jews non-kosher cannot compare to fulfilling a mitzvah, fulfilling a positive commandment that Hashem commanded us to do, to fulfill it the most proper way possible with all the details. Nothing can compare to the excitement and happiness and content feeling, because it comes from our inner soul and not just external pleasures like the physical ones. But since the physical pleasures and the negative sides of a personality are more external and are more ready to use, more immediate, so we're drawn sooner to choose that than to choose good. So in the end, it's balanced. The balance is choosing to do bad could happen more easily, more automatically than to do good. On the other hand, when one does overcome his temptation and chooses to do good, the feeling inside him, the content and happy feeling, will be much greater than choosing to do bad. So that counterbalances the idea of the immediate inkling to do bad. So that's how there's, in the end, equal freedom of choice and having the free will to do bad or good. So that's how Hashem created our world. This way, we're not robotic, we're not angels, we're not animals. All these types of, or puppets, all these types of creatures don't have freedom of choice. They just do what they're told. And Hashem doesn't need that, because what's the point in creating a world that anyway automatically does what he wants? What's the point? By choosing to do good, we deserve, because we overcame the inkling to do bad, and we chose to do good. By choosing so, and working hard, putting in a lot of effort to continue our entire life to always choose good. Hashem tells us towards the end of the 5 books of Torah that he has given us the choice to do good and live, or on the other side, do bad and die. Choose good. By doing so, day after day, action after action, in the most accurate way possible, with all our mightiness and strength and eagerness, slowly we become shining people. We become people that express the light of Hashem within us, from within us. The neshama, the most deepest part of our soul, is a piece of Hashem. We've all received a piece of Hashem as Jews, and we're meant to expose it, to let it glow from inside. How do we do that? By constantly choosing good and doing the exact accurate deeds and actions that Hashem commanded us, with all the nitty-gritty details of every mitzvah, of every commandment, all the halachot possible, with happiness, with eagerness, with excitement. We do that over and over and over again in our lifetime. We allow our most deepest part of our neshama, of our soul, to be exposed. Nothing blocks it. Any bad deed blocks the light of our neshama to shine bright from us. Good deeds make it shine more and more, enables it to shine more and more. By acting that way, as religious Jews should, all their lifetime, this leads the entire world, all the Gentiles around us, all the nations around us, to feel, see, experience this light. And they slowly, it's a process of thousands of years, but slowly realize that that's how every person is meant to behave, to each their own. Gentiles are meant to fulfill 7 commandments. Jews are meant to fulfill 613 commandments. But to follow Hashem's ways as we were commanded. That gives us a content, inner content, happy feeling that you cannot gain by anything else in this world. No delicious ice cream or pizza can compare to the great, beautiful feeling one may reach if they follow rules and commandments of Hashem. And by that, we reveal to the world that Hashem exists, that there's a Lord to the world. Hashem did this in a roundabout way. Had he exposed himself immediately to the world, then that would be the end of the game. Because you can't choose, you see the ultimate truth in front of you, you can't choose anything else. It's right there, it's distinct and clear. There's no other way. And Hashem doesn't want that. Hashem wants it to come from us. As we lead our way in the world during our lifetime to reach that ultimate truth in the world. In order to reach this point, he needed a people, a nation, who would be his messengers, his agents. That's our goal. Our role is, we had received the Torah directly from Hashem. Rabbi Kaplan very beautifully illustrates what happened at that moment. The moment of, actually from the exodus from Egypt, through the splitting of the Red Sea, all the way to the receiving of Torah on Mount Sinai, those few months, approximately 3 months, that we experienced tremendous miracles and Hashem exposing himself to us. It was the one and only time that Hashem spoke directly to human beings as a mass, as a nation of 3 million people. They all heard his voice. whatever that means. We have no idea what that means because Hashem is not a human being. There's no form of body-like form or anything. But they heard something divine, holy, heavenly speaking with them, and they saw tremendous miracles. How was that possible? We said beforehand that if you come to this island of natives and expose yourself with all your modern way of thinking and all the technology and all kinds of devices to show them, they would fall apart. Cultural shock, rebellion, and that's it. They wouldn't be able to absorb so much light, such a huge leap from where they were to where you are. So how is that possible then? The answer is, actually, the Jewish people had fallen apart. That's exactly what happened. First of all, they were in shock when they first heard Hashem speaking with them directly. They stopped it after 2 commandments. They stopped listening and asked Moshe Rabbeinu, please, you continue. We can't take it anymore. So they were in shock. It was too much light. It's what's called in the Kabbalistic books, the little I know from the Kabbalistic books, it's what's called Shvirat HaKelim. When a vessel can contain a certain amount of weight in it, and you put more than that weight, it breaks. The vessel breaks. So same here. When there's too much light, divine light, onto the world or onto a person or onto a nation, too much light breaks the vessel. The vessel breaks. So we couldn't absorb as a new-born nation, just coming out of Egypt 2 months earlier, we couldn't absorb so much light, so we fell apart. So firstly, they requested Moshe Rabbeinu to continue the remaining 8 commandments. He spoke up and not Hashem. He was the intermediate between Hashem and the Jewish people, and they heard from him as a human being. And second of all, within 40 days, only within 40 days, already they committed a terrible, terrible sin of the golden calf. And that's the rebellious stage after the shock. Exactly the way we described what would happen in this island if we would have exposed them to modern culture. That's what happened to the Jewish people right there and then. Cultural shock, and then breaking down to a sinful act that we still carry till today. Chazal tell us that any major punishment that Jews receive all through generations has a little bit remaining from the punishment we deserved for the golden calf, that sin of doing the golden calf. So it still remains till today. We just we were shattered to pieces by so much light. Yet, it was important as a one-time episode in the entire creation of this world. Only once this happened, in order to mark the existence of Hashem clearly. Now, after we broke down and were shattered to pieces, now let's start rebuilding our relationship with Hashem, which we know exists because we heard Him face to face. Now let's rebuild our relationship in a much more slow, step-by-step process as we're doing ever since then till today. So going back to your question, does Hashem need us? I don't want to get into this argument of the specific, finding more of the question if it's the essence of Hashem or it's only the more revealed parts of Hashem that present themselves in our world. I don't want to get into that discussion. It seems to me, just from gut feeling or what the minimal knowledge I received, that really the essence of Hashem cannot be that it needs something. The essence of Hashem cannot be that it needs something, because the essence of Hashem includes everything and anything, and there's nothing missing in it. And if the moment you say it needs something, then there's something missing. But again, I don't want to get into that specific discussion between the rabbis you presented in the beginning. But in general, the question, does Hashem need us? So for sure, the revelation of Hashem, the fact that He would want to reveal Himself in this world, which doesn't necessarily mean His essence. It means the revelation, the steps of introducing parts of Himself in this world. He definitely, according to all that we just illustrated, definitely needs us, due to the fact that we serve as His messengers. He chose this intermediate fashion of revealing Himself by handing down the Torah to the Jewish people, making us the chosen nation to be His agents, His messengers, to present to present His glory to the rest of the world, by enacting as accurately as possible with all the excitement and happiness, like we said before, all of his commandments. By doing this, slowly, the world is learning more and more about his, with a capital H, existence, due to the fact that we serve as his messenger. I'll express one more idea here. On one hand, this is our role, and definitely that's what we should be very stubborn and strong about. On the other hand, at the same moment that we received that role from Hashem, giving us the Torah, at the same moment, tremendous hatred against us followed. How do we know that? Chazal say this in the Midrash. Why was the name of the mountain that we received our Torah on was Sinai, Mount Sinai? Why was that? Why is that the name of the mountain? Say Chazal, they interpret it as Sin'ah. The word Sinai in Hebrew has the same connotation, sound, as the word Sin'ah, which is hatred. So, Yarda Sin'ah la'olam le'am Yisrael behar Sinai. That moment of receiving the Torah became the moment that Gentiles, many of the other nations around us, started hating us. Why would that happen? It should have been the opposite. We're here to perfect the world, to make the world a much happier place to live in, to make the world a much moral world. And each one who would follow Hashem's directions and commandments, whether Jewish or Gentile, doesn't matter, their life will be much more peaceful, calm, content, happy. That's what every person in this world is searching for and yearning to have such a life. And that's what we're here to explain and to show. So why would that lead to hatred and animosity and try to get rid of us and kill us and persecute us? The answer is because many times when there's a chosen person to do a job, to take a role upon himself, even if it's to do good for others, but people are envious of that person, jealous. Why he? Why not us? And that jealousy leads to hatred. When you're jealous of someone and you can't reach what he can do, it's his job and it's not yours, so you start hating that person. So that's one point that resulted from the fact that we became the chosen nation, received the Torah, and now are meant to preach this to others. And the second reason for hatred, as we explained before, the more natural inkling of human beings, and especially back then, 4,000 years ago, and for hundreds of years since then, until the world became a little bit more moral and good-natured. But in the very beginning of those ancient days, the world was corrupt. The entire world was corrupt. There was so much bad intentions in human beings and animal-like behavior that any moral teachings they felt would restrict them to be able to behave the way they want to behave. Suddenly someone puts a sign in front of your eyes, behave better, behave properly. And you don't want to because your natural inkling is to act like an animal, do whatever you'd like in a cruel way because that's what's natural to you. And you feel, again, very externally, because you're not touching your soul, but you feel externally, and that's what makes you happy. So that's again a reason to hate Jews for placing a mirror in front of the bad guys, showing them, what are you doing? Look at your behavior. Perfect yourselves. Be better people. No one likes to hear such a thing when they want to act the opposite. So that also is a reason that led, and ever since then till today, leads many people to hate us as Jews. Because we're like the matzpen, compass. It tells us the right direction. We're showing the world what the right direction is. And if the world doesn't like it, they want to behave differently, so they don't like people teaching them to act differently. The world reacted in such a way by us receiving Torah, receiving the commandments of Hashem, and preaching it to all the nations around. So this is where Hashem sort of, in a way, needs us, because he couldn't expose himself directly to the world as we explained at length. He needed this intermediate nation as messengers, as agents for him to be revealed slowly in a long process, and that they should reach this knowledge and this belief that Hashem exists through us, through the chosen nation, by free will, free choice, reach that conclusion by seeing the way we lead our lives and taking from us the proper way to live. And only in the end of the days of the Messiah, when the world will come to realize that Hashem exists and that they should be following His commandments, then who knows? Maybe then Hashem will reveal Himself directly to humanity. He'll say, "You've gotten to the final goal of this world. You've reached the final goal, and here I am." One last beautiful expression I heard many years ago, quoted from the words of the Rav Tzvi Yehuda Kook, the son of the famous Rav Kook, the originator of the Rav Kook thought, his son Rav Tzvi Yehuda, also backing this statement that Hashem needs us in this way of introducing Him to the world. Hilati Yisaperu, tell the story of my glory. So he said that famously we use many times the expression b'siyata dishmaya, with the help of Hashem. I'm doing this b'siyata dishmaya. I'll do that b'siyata dishmaya. We use that phrase over and over again in our lifetime. Many religious Jews marked 3 letters, Bet Samech Dalid, on top of all the documents and writings that they write. That's to show that they wish to receive the help of Hashem in this document or in what they're writing, because they want it to be true and correct. So let's hope for the assistance of Hashem. It's Aramaic. These are words in Aramaic that refer to the asking Hashem to assist us with what we do. Rav Tzvi Yehuda said we could also have an opposite expression, which also leads to our goal, like we just spoke about now, our goal in life. Lesiyata dishmaya. Instead of besiyata dishmaya, with the help of Hashem, lesiyata dishmaya, for helping Hashem. About to do this and this, obviously if it's a good deed, not a sinful act. If it's a good deed, I'm about to do this, lesiyata dishmaya. True, with the help of Hashem. Everything is with the help of Hashem. We don't have strength of our own. It's all Hashem giving us the skills and power and strength and everything. But it's also to have in mind that we're doing this to help Hashem, to help Him. He's helping us and we're helping Him. It's a mutual relationship here. He helps us by giving us all the skills and strength and life and abilities and everything. And we help Him by using these skills and abilities and strength that He gives us, that He provides for us. We use it in the proper way. We don't misuse and misguide the skills that we receive from Hashem. We use them properly. So it becomes less siyata dishmaya. We're helping Him. In what way? Helping Him be known to the rest of the world, because we do what He wants of us. We follow His commandments. So everyone starts realizing that there is a commander, there's a Lord to the universe, and that's why it helps Him be known to everyone. That sort of summarizes all that we've said, captures it all in one expression of Rabbi Tzvi Kook. We believe in the fact that there's going to be a human being, regular flesh and blood, born to parents like every other human being in this world, who will be the Messiah. He will be a person that would lead us, Jews, and the world to the ultimate goal of this world, fulfilling and practicing all of Hashem's commandments in the best way possible, and living a spiritual life like we're meant to, and being good to each other and everything else. Besides that, there is a chance, we don't know, because it doesn't say this in any place, but there's a chance that Hashem may reveal Himself, the Lord Himself, who sent the Messiah, as His greatest messenger, as the most complete human being born in this world. He may then reveal Himself to us, because when we reach the ultimate goal of the entire world believing in Him and accepting His reigning over us and His commandments, then there's no point to hide away anymore, because by reaching it ourselves, we then deserve recognition from Hashem and deserve to be rewarded for what we did. Otherwise, if He exposes Himself directly to us and we didn't do the work, and it's right there and we have to choose to believe in Him, why should we be rewarded for that? We didn't put any effort. By going through this entire world with all the effort we put in, generation after generation, person after person, we deserve now to be rewarded. And that's what Hashem wants. He wants to do good by us deserving His reward, and that's what He wants. That's the ultimate good, is to do good.
Thank you very much, Rabbi. If you want to find out the purpose of life, then watch this video that changed my life forever and will most likely change yours as well. Yom Tov.